Welcome to another episode of Samoa Pilgrims. In this episode, we will be taking our time as we trek through the old city of Jerusalem. And here we are walking through the plaza of one of the 8 gates that we just walked through. This is known as the Jaffa Gate. And if you're anything like me, I had no idea that the old city of Jerusalem was divided up into 4 quarters. So there's the Jewish quarter, there's the Muslim quarter, there's the Christian quarter, and the last quarter is the Armenian quarter. It fascinates me how you can have 4 different religious groups living and sharing this little piece of land in the old city of Jerusalem and achieve peace and harmony. It really does beg the question, if we can achieve that here in Jerusalem, why can't we achieve that anywhere else in the world?
Hotels over here, and motels and restaurants over here, everything for the pilgrims. And then the Crusaders, remember 1,200? They made here a huge business place. They would bring the crusade on horses, the pilgrims from Europe right here to Jerusalem. And there are a couple of books talking about the money. They become very rich. They became very rich, just charging money for them from.
Here we are about to enter the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, one of 2 sites of Calvary or Golgotha where Jesus was crucified and entombed. This site is by far the most popular amongst Christian pilgrims. I personally preferred the garden tomb, which will feature in a later episode. But this traditional site was discovered by Helena, mother of Constantine, the Roman Empire, in the 4th century. And here we are about to walk into the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And just to the right of me as we walk in, you'll notice a long rectangular slab or stone on the ground. And this is known as the Stone of Anointing, the place where the body of Jesus was laid down after being removed from the cross. We are arriving at probably what is the most popular feature inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is this shrine, which encloses what is believed to be the tomb of Jesus. And when you walk inside it, it's completely enveloped by this marble sheath, probably to protect the original rock from tourists and pilgrims from laying their hands on it and taking pieces of it with them as souvenirs. Something I admit I did when we visited the excavation site on the southwestern wall inside the old city of Jerusalem.
I'll talk about it later. So this is the foundation of this church. Okay, and then there is a double cave tomb, and that's it. And this is the tomb. And she's looking for here, and she says, this is where he was buried, also. He was buried right here.
The line to get into the tomb was just long. We basically lined up at the entrance and had to work our way around the tomb 360 degrees basically to get back to the front of the line to enter the tomb, and we were only in there a maximum of 30 seconds before we were being ushered back out. So Dad done really well to stand that whole entire time, and he was really patient with it, and it was definitely worth it. Here's a close-up view of the line, and there's just so many people from different parts of the world, all united in common purpose to walk through the Holy Land, and it was pretty cool.
Very fast. This guy named, remember his name? Just from this game was no place. And remember, a lot of things happens in the way in those times. Remember the guy?
Here's Dad, a little puzzled as to why he's got his sunglasses on. As you can see, it's not a very bright church, but obviously he was being blinded by the experience of being this close to the tomb of Jesus. Dad's finally at the entrance of the tomb and getting ready to go in, and they said to us, we couldn't have our cameras on, we couldn't take photos, and I just left my Osmo on, and here we are inside the tomb. It's just a shame that we could only be in there for such a short time before being ushered out, and didn't really have time to get intimate with Jesus and pray and things like that. You were just in there and then you were out. It was really quick.
This line is for bending. You can bend and touch the stone of the Golgotha itself. It's actually it's a very orthodox kind of tradition. You don't have to follow this. Try there. And this is the line that we stand for. Okay, we stand for the line that we can touch the Golgotha itself. Yeah, that was, remember I was talking about they were cleaning the body. They were purifying the body after the crucifixion. This is the stone, it's not the stone itself, it's underneath. Where it was purified, and it was talking about purification. Purification is a long process, it's not cleaning olive oil or anything like this. It's a process, it takes a couple of hours because it's inside and outside. It's a whole purifying process. In the Judaism, it takes like 8 to 12 hours.
This was probably the hardest part of visiting the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. We were upstairs and lining up to touch the exposed rock of Golgotha, and it was just overcrowded. The lines were long. You could barely breathe in there. It was warm. It was muggy. So not a pleasant experience physically, but spiritually still something that you found moving, because you just couldn't help but feel part of history and feel your faith come alive in you despite the circumstances. So the lighting was really bad in there. It was really dark, so you can just make out the altar, and underneath the altar people kind of have to crawl into it and put your hand down this hole on the floor to touch the exposed rock of Golgotha. And as you can see, that's Dad there, and he's kind of just kneels down to have a good look at it, and then walks off. I think he was a bit over it by that stage.
30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41.
41 was a decent tour group size. If I was to do it again, I'd probably try and go for a private tour just to get a more intimate experience with our tour guide. But a lot of these guys were from Texas, and about half of the group were from one church, and the rest of them were from the States. So we were the only ones from down under in New Zealand. They all knew where New Zealand was. They didn't know where Samoa was, so I asked them if they knew the rock, and they said, yep, they knew the rock. And I said, well, he's from Samoa, and then they all kind of saw the resemblance in myself. Yes, that's right. The way of the cross. This was probably one of the more warmer days and the most challenging in terms of walking distance for Dad. If you can imagine, there were 10 to 12 days of touring, and they often started at 7 in the morning. The bus would leave our hotel and get back to the hotel sometimes well after 5, 6 in the evening, so they were full-on days back to back. So to see Dad soldier through it like a champion and just push on, it was pretty inspiring, and he didn't once complain about being too tired to do some of the events. It was really, really cool. Here we are, still en route on the way of the cross, or the Via Dolorosa, and it cuts right through narrow marketplaces, and it's a bustle with traders and shoppers, most likely similar to the scene on the first Good Friday. Scholars today still disagree on the actual path where Jesus carried his cross here in the old city of Jerusalem, but you have to remember these are events that occurred well over 2,000 years ago. But if you look at the archaeological evidence and the support that we have for the way of the cross, the support we have for the event of the crucifixion of Jesus, you look at the documentation that we have in the Gospels and the support that we have from historians dating way back to the 1st century, the historical evidence, the archaeological evidence is unmatched in terms of confirming our belief and our faith and the events that are recorded in the New Testament, and that is something that gives me a lot of certainty and hope going forward. Walking along the Via Dolorosa, or the Way of Suffering, we mark off these stations, and there were 14 in total. 9 of these stations are based on the Gospel references, and the other 5 kind of references where Jesus falls 3 times and where he meets his mother Mary and Veronica, and we'll see some of those stations shortly. Where's the 5th station?
Huh?
Are we there yet?
5th.
Oh, I didn't see it.
It's right there on the wall.
This is where Simon helped Jesus carry the cross.
Because it's not too... Anyone want to go there? I will walk with him.
Yeah, I'll go.
3 and 4 station, right there, right here.
At this point, some of our group were pretty tired and didn't want to see all the stations, but I didn't travel that far to not see them all, so we pushed on.
This is the 3rd right here. The first fall, and this is the 3rd, sorry, the 3rd, the first fall, and the 4th where he meets his mother.
Wow, that's awesome. And there we have it. That brings this episode of Samoa Pilgrims to an end, and we'll catch you here in the next episode, which will feature the Western Wall, the Tomb of David, the upper room where they had the Last Supper, and a few other things. We'll see you then.